Last time in Steroids Part 1, we talked about the basics of steroids, the good, the bad, the ugly, what they do, what they don't do, very briefly. But today I want to talk about 4 different steroids that we used back in the 70s, because these things were only available at that time, and there was nothing beyond that, really, not much, until later in the 80s. So I want to talk about testosterone, I want to talk about DECA, and I want to talk about Anta Bar and Winstrol. Testosterone was really the basis for training back then. It was the male hormone that really raised your strength, raised your size, really pumped you up quite a bit, and did the job. Now, that's one thing. It would gain the size. It wouldn't necessarily gain striated muscle, but it would help. So in order to get the striations, we would add DECA to it. Now, DECA was an anabolic drug, not an androgenic, meaning that testosterone, androgenic, is a male hormone. Anabolic is tissue building. Anabolic builds muscle tissue. It helps heal the joints. It has a lot of benefits with skin, but it does have a downside. On DECA, there's a thing called, you're going to laugh at this one, called DECA-dick, which means that your sexual drive will just go down and won't perform. And your girlfriend will sue you for assault with a dead weapon. But the thing is that it does work. And if you're willing to trade off one for the other, then you can do it. But who wants to trade that off if you've got a hot-looking girl, you know what I mean? So you have to be careful. It doesn't do that to everybody. Everybody's chemistry is different. So everything you take reacts different on your body. I mean, some medications on some people do one thing, some medications on others do another. Different side effects. But testosterone was always the basis of everything. It can cause pimples because a lot of people who take it do get acne if they're prone to acne. It can retain water, so you'll retain fluid and you look kind of bulky and puffy looking. DECA won't do that. Now, both of these are injectable. Now, the oral pills that we took along with were Winstrol and Anta Bar. Now, Winstrol is the little pink tablet, 2 milligram. I was taking, I think, 4 a day, and like I said before, it smoothed my skin out and really cut me up. Had a lot of good effects to it. It has a slight bit of anabolic in it, kind of like DECA, so you got to be careful. You have to kind of like mix it with testosterone so you don't get that lack of sex drive. Anta Bar I tried. I never was real crazy about it. I know a lot of guys loved Anta Bar. I used to find them all over the gym floor. They'd drop them. They look like little footballs, but they take probably 4 to 6 a day for a 6-week cycle. Those made you pretty hard too. So that, along with a diet, is what worked. You had to take, whatever you took, you had to eat right and you had to train hard with it. Now, when you're on steroids, you don't have to train as hard as others because the body actually recovers quicker when you're on it, so you just train mildly. You train moderately. Most doctors would say, you don't have to train that hard, just train a little bit. We had 2 doctors back at the gym back then who would give us the things we wanted. One of them, I don't want to name names, is a pediatrician. He had an office in Hollywood. So when we wanted a shot or we wanted our stuff, we'd go up to his office. And it was really funny because one wall was lined with mothers and babies and the other wall was lined with bodybuilders. I mean, it was like really, really a cross-section of what's this all about? Mothers would look like, what are these guys doing? They're not babies. Well, he liked the bodybuilders and he gave us everything we wanted, and that's where we got our source. Now, you got to be careful where you get your source, because today it's a whole different world out there. The internet's full of scams. It's full of fakes. You don't know what you're getting half the time. Winstrol and Anta Bar are not in tablet form anymore. Most of I don't even think Anta Bar is even around, but Winstrol is an injectable form, and it's a milky-looking substance. Now, there's a lot of bogus stuff out, and I heard a couple of years ago that people were selling it, and it was actually Armor All. So basically, you're injecting Armor All into your body, which is a poison, and you don't want to do that. That's something to beware of. Now, I don't know if you're going to buy it or where you're going to get it, if it's real or if it's not real. Do your research if you're going to take it at all. And as I said, I don't advocate the use of this. It's not something that I would tell you to go out and do, especially young kids. You don't need it. Now, testosterone starts to deplete from your body at the age of about 35, and you start to lose it, and you start to feel lethargic, run down, maybe a little belly fat, maybe not at 35, but 40, certainly at 50. You'll see guys who start to age quite a bit, and everything starts to sag, and they just don't have the energy. They have just low testosterone, and that will do that. So by taking a weekly dose, like I take 100 milligrams a week, which is just nothing compared to the guys today. A lot of the guys today take 1,000 milligrams a week, or maybe even 2,000. It keeps me harder, it keeps me better, it keeps me in shape. I'm not going to go overboard because I don't care about being huge anymore. It's not my goal at my age, but it does keep me in better shape. And I talked to my cardiologist about it because I went back in with a heart problem recently, and my red blood cells were high, and that was because of the testosterone. It does raise it if you do over 150 milligrams a week. So I cut back and actually been off for 3 months. It also had thickened my heart over the years because lifting heavy made my heart like an athlete's heart and thick, which is not a good sign down the road when you're older because it can cause a heart attack. These are things to think about. You might be big at 20 and 30, but now you can do it at 50 and 60. You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I never know of any deaths, but there are side effects to everything that you take in life. There's just no question about it. It's going to affect something, whether it be liver or kidneys or any one of those things if you overdose on anything. So if you do take it, be very cautious not to take an overabundance of it. Those were the things that we took back then. There's one more thing that a lot of the greats took, a lot of the guys you look up to cut up, and it was Cytomel, which is the thyroid medication, and it really cuts you up, but you have to be very careful with that because if you blow your thyroid out, you're going to get fat, and that's not good. The other thing is when you do go on steroids, and if you do blow up and you do get a lot of gain 20 or 30 pounds, remember, that's not always good weight. That's going to be fat and water, along with muscle, and you might lose it just as quick as when you take it off. So my theory was, and I talked to Arnold about it for years, is that gain muscle slowly. If you gain it slow, if it's 5 or 10 pounds or 4 pounds or 6 pounds of quality muscle, it's going to look like 20 pounds because good muscle under the lights looks awesome. If you gain 30 pounds and you take your shirt off, you're going to look fat. Take a look at a big guy who's really big and he takes his shirt off in the mirror and he's fat. You don't see any cuts. Take a look at a guy that's 175 pounds ripped. He'll look bigger than the big guy. He won't be as big in a shirt, but he'll sure look good out of the shirt. So it depends on what you want. Do you want to look good walking around the street in a shirt, or would you rather take the shirt off and look awesome? Or back then we wore big old baggy shirts anyway, and you could see through the shirts that we had good bodies. It just, if you have a good body, it's going to show through anything you wear. You don't have to be big and puffy. So this is the deal on the steroids in the 70s. This is the main things that we took. This is part 2, and when I get into part 3, I'll go into some other details of other drugs that were around that we took and things how they evolved through the 80s into even bigger drugs like belastorone. I haven't touched on growth hormone yet, but I will, and some of the effects is that. So, thank you for watching Rick's Corner, part 2 on steroids. Thank you for supporting me at all my Rick's Corners because I'm there for you, and I enjoy doing this, and I hope to take it to the next level and hopefully have a network one day if I can, which I'm trying to do. And we'll see you on steroids part 3. And remember, train, don't strain. And thanks for watching Rick's Corner.